That scene right there was from Raw of 2002. And that was the night Vince McMahon came out and addressed Stone Cold, in Vince's own words, taking his ball and going home and walking out on the company. Welcome back, everyone. Chris here with episode 39 of What Could Have Been in Wrestling. This week's topic takes us back to 2002, and at the suggestion of Johnny Delgado 98, I'm going to talk about what if Stone Cold didn't walk out on the company in June of that year. So let's jump right into it. Prior to his walkout, I know Stone Cold had been very unhappy with his creative direction. Going back to WrestleMania 18, when he had faced Scott Hall, he wasn't happy being slotted in the mid-card. And leading up to his walkout, he had been feuding with Ric Flair, who was the co-owner of the company, in storyline-wise, and the GM of Raw. And going into that, Austin had actually faced Ric Flair the week before walking out and had beaten him, with the stipulation now that Ric Flair has to be Austin's servant. The week after that, and I believe that was June 10th of 2002, that's when Austin no-showed on Raw and walked out. Ric Flair came out and acknowledged the stipulation he had to uphold, but then said, looks like I can't do that because Austin isn't here tonight. And then they had to pivot, and Ric Flair lost control of Raw when he lost in a match against Vince for 100% control of the company, thanks to Brock Lesnar, and his time as the Raw GM and part owner of the company was over. With Austin walking out, Vince did come out the next week on the June 17th Raw to address it, and he did say Austin is gone, and he does hope at some point he comes back. He did acknowledge that Austin had walked out the day after WrestleMania that year, with Austin claiming he was burnt out. Vince said, given Austin's enormous contributions to the company, he understood that everyone gets burnt out every once in a while, and 2 weeks later, Austin was back, and all was forgotten. Austin has walked out again, and at this point, Vince was being given the what treatment by the fans because they were clearly not taking his promo too seriously. But when Vince then confirmed it and said Austin owes an apology to everyone in the locker room, that's when the what chant stopped. Vince also emphasized that Austin owes an apology, and he pointed out the fans and said to each and every one of you for his actions. And that got Vince cheered. And now Vince had their full attention. Vince went on to say that Austin wouldn't take anyone's calls last week, but he finally did answer one call, and that was from his good friend Jim Ross. And Jim Ross insisted that Austin come back to work, but Austin wouldn't budge. Vince said he felt that Austin wished everyone in the locker room well, and he felt Austin sincerely wanted to be there that night, and he said, I know that he also wishes all of you well, referring to the fans. And once he was done, he said one last toast, and once he handed the microphone back to Lillian Garcia, he got a beer. And from the beginning clip of the episode you saw, he took a sip, and he said, thank you, Stone Cold, for the memories. And he laid the beer down the ring, or put it down the ring, I should say, and that was that. And it was really up in the air, would Stone Cold ever come back? So if Austin doesn't walk out in this case, a lot of things change in my opinion. Number one, The Rock came back early because of this whole situation, and that was the first thing that really happened was The Rock wasn't scheduled to come back till July, but instead he came back that night, because later on, Vince came back out and teased that Stone Cold had arrived. And after being told it's not Austin who's here, Vince demanded to know who it was, and out came The Rock. The Rock again said, we all know The Rock wasn't supposed to come back till next month, but he said, while Austin can take his ball and go home, he then said for The Rock, this is home. And The Rock also confirmed he was going to be there that Sunday at King of the Ring. Now, speaking of King of the Ring, one of the other things that led to Austin's walkout was that he was scheduled to go one-on-one in an unadvertised match on Raw that night against Brock Lesnar. And Austin was going to lose that match. So if Austin doesn't walk out, I think the plans there do change. And instead, I think Austin is back, not so much in a mid-card role like he was at WrestleMania, but instead he's in a main event role where he is challenging the winner of the Undisputed title match at King of the Ring between The Undertaker and Triple H. While still having to answer to Ric Flair, he can basically tell Flair, look, your ass is mine because you have to do what I say, and if you don't, I've got a present for you, and then he can actually stun Ric Flair on that Raw before King of the Ring to end the episode. Instead of The Rock coming back, we have Flair getting laid out with a stunner. With that in mind, we can fast forward to King of the Ring. And in the main event, I think that the same thing should happen that did happen in reality, and that's The Rock should come back that night. And he can make a surprise appearance during that Undisputed title match and come out and do commentary to finish the match off. After King of the Ring, The Rock can come out and basically cut the same kind of promo, saying that I wanted to come back early because at Vengeance, he wants his shot at the Undisputed title. With that in mind, Ric Flair can come out, still on a heel role, and now, like I said, still the owner of Raw. And he can tell Austin, even though I have to do what you say, you put your hands on me last week. And instead of you being in the title match at Vengeance, it's instead going to be a triple threat match with the Undisputed Champion, The Undertaker, taking on The Rock, which would obviously get a big reaction, and Kurt Angle. So we can still move forward into Vengeance, going for that triple threat match between those three. At Vengeance, what you can have there is you can have Austin out on commentary and still laying claim to being the number one contender and still wanting a shot at whoever wins this Undisputed triple threat match, and he wants his match the next night on Raw. Now, going into Vengeance, something else would change. Like I said, Ric Flair had made the heel turn and was part of the NWO, and the leader of the NWO on the Raw before Vengeance, as we remember, Kevin Nash, tore his quad in that 10-man tag match. And the NWO was no more, and Eric Bischoff was the one who was introduced as the new GM of Raw the next week. So in this situation, if Flair is still part owner of the company and the GM of Raw, I don't think that happens. And I don't think we get Eric Bischoff debuting in WWE yet, personally. So we move forward, and I think in that triple threat match, The Rock should still win by pinning Kurt Angle. And he is now a 7-time WWE champion. Post-Raw, The Rock can come out. And, like I said, what can happen there is he can obviously cut his first promo as champion, with Austin coming out and them having their stare down and teasing a match for that night. Ric Flair can come out and he can actually, in a way, sway to The Rock and talk to The Rock and say, look, I know you're the People's Champion, but you're also the undisputed champion. And after a war like you had last night to win that belt, I think you deserve the night off. So it's the heel Ric Flair trying to appeal to The Rock's getting in his good graces. And obviously, given The Rock's situation, I would actually want The Rock to agree with Ric Flair in this situation and say, you know what, Nate, I actually agree with you. And I think tonight, The Rock should take the night off, which, for good reason, would get a heel reaction. And this is just a small tease at what I want to go towards. Well, Austin can say, well, since I can't whoop The Rock's ass, I guess I'll just have to settle for you, and he can hit Ric Flair with a stunner. And from there, after hitting Ric Flair with the stunner, again, Ric Flair can respond in kind by banning Austin from Raw. And saying, even though I have to do what you say, I'm still the boss, and you're done for the night. As a follow-up, post-stunner, probably post-commercial break. From there, Ric Flair can bring out one other person, and he could say that he has signed to Raw. And that is the man who actually did make his debut on Raw the night after Vengeance, and that is Triple H. Triple H can come out, and also the man who can come out as well is Shawn Michaels. So we can still point to their feud and still have a DX reunion teased that night with Triple H turning on Shawn and hitting him with a pedigree. From there, Triple H can come out the next week, and instead of really focusing so much on Shawn Michaels, he can obviously say, look, Shawn, I know what you were looking to do, but you're old, you're washed up, and my sight is on the undisputed title. And he can actually challenge The Rock that night for the belt. And from there, we can actually have it where instead of having the match immediately, Triple H can still get that heads up that Shawn had been attacked in the parking lot, and even though he had hinted wanting to get it back in the title picture, his focus is now shifted to his, quote, best friend, who had had his head put through in a windshield and was laid out in the parking lot and was off to the hospital. From there, something I think that I'd want to change is I think Shawn should stay off TV till SummerSlam. So you would not get Shawn Michaels' return either at SummerSlam in that no-holds-barred match against Triple H. I think we would hold off on that as well. And something else that would change, and I forgot to mention, that Vince said when Austin walked out, he said, we're going to continue to make new stars. And he said, also, just now, he confirmed that the winner of the King of the Ring would be the number one contender for the undisputed title at SummerSlam. And if Austin doesn't walk out, I don't think that ruling happens either. So while Brock is still the King of the Ring, he is not the official number one contender yet. Keep that in mind. So now later on that night on that same Raw, getting back on topic of that Raw, The Rock can face Triple H. And in that match, I think, to end it, Austin should run in and attack them both and lay claim to his right as the number one contender. And that's when Flair can make a final ruling and say, Austin, you're going to get one shot at the belt, and it's going to be at SummerSlam. But it's going to be in a triple threat match between the champion, The Rock, versus Stone Cold and Triple H. So we're going to get that triple threat match we were supposed to get at the 99 Survivor Series, but never did because of Austin's neck injury. As the weeks build up to SummerSlam, and we have one more show, I think, going into it, I think you should have actually a heel promo, a cut by The Rock, and I think it should be cut via satellite. So I don't even want The Rock at that Raw going into SummerSlam. And what that can be is The Rock cutting a Hollywood Rock-like promo, saying that he's not at Raw tonight and he's glad he's not there because it's so hot out in the summer and it's so humid in whatever area they're going to be in. And he said while SummerSlam is taking place in New York, he said he'll be there at SummerSlam, but right now he's busy on set in Hollywood, California. He said, where the real stars are. So a more arrogant attitude and a sign, like I said, of Hollywood Rock. This time as champion. As we have our final face-off, Austin and Triple H can go at it to end off Raw with a brawl basically between the two challengers and the champion. A little too good to show up in person, but like I said, cutting the promo via satellite. Now going into SummerSlam, we finally get that triple threat match between The Rock, Triple H, and Stone Cold. And in this match, obviously, I think it would be given a lot of time, and it wouldn't be Brock Lesnar's big crowning moment. Instead, it would be for Attitude Era fans like myself, it would be maybe their final encounter, those three getting in the ring together. And I think they should all obviously hit their finishers at some point, and it looks like at any time any one of them could win. But at the end, I actually think it should be The Rock pinning Stone Cold Steve Austin to retain his title. And in this match, the way I think that Triple H can be taken out of it is at SummerSlam is when I think Shawn Michaels should make his return from that parking lot attack by Triple H, which could be revealed that night at SummerSlam that it was Triple H who did the attack. And while Triple H could brush it off and say, look, I did that for Shawn's own good, he's got to realize he's retired, that he can't wrestle anymore. So basically making his official heel turn the night of SummerSlam, that's when Shawn can come out through the audience and Triple H and Shawn Michaels can brawl up the ramp while Austin gets hit with rock bottom and The Rock gets the deciding fall and retains his title. So the next night on Raw after SummerSlam is where I think The Rock should make his entrance as Hollywood Rock with that new theme song and that new Titantron entrance, and basically cut up a heel promo on the fans. Because if you remember, at that SummerSlam in 2002, that was in New York, and The Rock was booed quite a bit in his match with Lesnar. And I know that post-match, he got Chance of You sold out, and he wasn't even able to cut a post-match promo. And I think a heel turn was definitely in order at that time anyways. So The Rock can come out talking about how he's still undisputed champion, how he's now beaten everybody, Austin, Triple H, Undertaker, Angle, etc. And he can also say that The Rock is going to go away to Hollywood, and he'll come back when he wants to defend his title, because no one is deserving of a title shot right now. And that's when the winner of the King of the Ring can come out. And with his agent, Paul Heyman, that's where The Rock and Brock can finally meet and have their first face-to-face showdown. And that could be Brock Lesnar, and I think it would be in a babyface role, because so he would make his face turn a few months early, rather than in November that year. He can lay claim and want to have a shot at The Rock in the undisputed title. So that's actually where I'm going to keep it. That's where I'm going to stop it now. This is actually going to be just part one, because I think there should be a part two going and leading into Survivor Series and how that can all play out. But that's where it's going to end, with Brock Lesnar coming out to challenge The Rock for his undisputed title. So guys, let me know what you think of my thoughts on if Stone Cold was to stay and not walk out like he did. Let me know if you think that would delay the appearance of Eric Bischoff on Raw as the Raw GM. Let me know, obviously, what you think of my thoughts on the appearance in the heel turn for Hollywood Rock coming about 6 months early. And also let me know what you think of my usage with Triple H and Shawn Michaels, delaying their feud just a few weeks and having Shawn Michaels return to that SummerSlam to cost Triple H his shot at the title. Leave your comments down below. Give me more topic ideas for the future, and let me know, obviously, like I said, when you'd like to see the part 2 come out, because I already have thoughts on a part 2 for this episode. And obviously, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I appreciate everyone's support. So, again, till next time, guys, hope you enjoyed the episode, and take care, everyone.